You have probably had this happen. You are walking along in a pair of shoes you like, and suddenly you feel something flapping. You look down, and the sole is peeling right off the bottom of the shoe. Or maybe the shoe just splits, or the heel wears down to nothing in what feels like no time at all. So you take them somewhere to be fixed, hoping to save a pair you love. And you get the bad news. There is nothing to be done. These shoes cannot be repaired. They cannot be resold. When the sole goes, the whole shoe is finished. So into the bin they go, and off you march to buy another pair. Now here is a strange thing. There are shoes out there in the world that are 50 years old and still going strong. Shoes that have had their soles replaced 5, 6, even 10 times, and could go on for another 50 years. So why can those old shoes be fixed forever, while your shoes fall apart in a year and cannot be mended at all? The answer is the story of this whole channel, told through the soles of your feet. Because your shoes, quite simply, were built to fail. Let's start with how shoes used to be made, because it is genuinely clever. A well-made shoe, the old-fashioned way, is not just glued together. It is stitched. There is a special way of building a shoe where the sole is sewn on, with a strong thread around the edge. This does something wonderful. It means that when the sole wears out, a shoemaker, a cobbler, can carefully cut the stitches, take off the old worn sole, and sew on a brand new one. The rest of the shoe, the part that fits your foot, lives on. And you can do this again and again for decades. Because of this, a good pair of shoes was an investment. You bought them once, they cost a fair bit, and then you simply resold them whenever they wore down. They molded to your feet. They lasted for years and years. And there was a cobbler on almost every street, ready to give your favorite shoes new life for a small price. Repair was just a normal part of owning shoes. Now let's look at most of the shoes sold today. And here is where it all changed. The great majority of modern shoes are not stitched at all. They are glued. The sole is simply stuck onto the bottom of the shoe with a strong adhesive. Now, gluing is fast and cheap, which is exactly why they do it. But it comes with a hidden cost, one that lands on you. Because when a sole is only glued on, it cannot be properly replaced. When that sole wears down, or the glue finally lets go and the sole starts to flap, there is nothing a cobbler can do. There are no stitches to cut, no clean way to attach a new sole that will hold. The shoe is, by its very design, a dead end. When the sole goes, the whole shoe goes with it. You do not own a shoe that can be renewed. You own a shoe with a built-in ending. And there is a second trick, hidden in what the soles are made of. Many modern shoes, especially sports shoes and trainers, have soles made of a kind of soft foam. When it is new, that foam feels light and bouncy and wonderful. But it has two big problems. First, it slowly squashes down and loses its bounce, so the shoe becomes flat and hard and uncomfortable long before it looks worn out. And second, that foam actually breaks down over time, all on its own. It can grow brittle and crack and crumble away, even if the shoes are barely worn or just sitting in a closet. People have pulled old, unworn trainers out of storage, only to have the soles crumble to bits the moment they put them on. The very material was quietly rotting on a clock from the day it was made. Then there are the cheap materials everywhere else. The leather on many modern shoes is not real leather at all, but a thin, fake, plastic-coated material that cracks and peels and splits far faster than real leather ever would. The linings wear through. The thin bits of trim peel away. Every corner is cut to make the shoe cheap to build and quick to fall apart. And then, of course, there is fashion. The world of shoes, especially trainers, has become a lot like the world of fast clothing. New styles pour out constantly. There is always a newer, cooler pair. So even before your shoes fall apart, they are made to feel old and out of style. You are pushed to buy the next pair and the next, whether the old ones are worn out or not. Put it all together, and you can see the whole trap. A sole that is glued on, so it can never be replaced. A foam that squashes flat and then crumbles away on its own schedule. Fake materials that crack and peel. And an endless parade of new styles to make you want the next pair anyway. Your shoes were designed, from the ground up, to have a short life and to make sure that when they die, they cannot be brought back. And this is why the cobbler, who was once on every street, has slowly vanished. What is there for a cobbler to do when the shoes cannot be resold? The whole skill, the whole trade of keeping good shoes alive, has been quietly killed off, not because the skill was lost, but because the shoes were changed so that the skill could no longer help. A glued shoe does not need a cobbler. It needs a bin and a replacement. So who wins here? The shoe companies, of course. Instead of selling you one great pair of shoes that you resole for 20 years, they sell you cheap pairs that fall apart in one and cannot be fixed, so you come back again and again. And with the endless new styles, they get you to buy more even before the old ones die. Every glued sole, every crumbling foam, every new trend is another sale. And who loses? You do. You spend far more, over the years, on pile after pile of cheap shoes that fall apart than you would have on a few good pairs you could resole for life. And the planet loses terribly. We throw away billions of shoes every year. And because they are made of glued-together mixes of foam and plastic and fake leather, they are almost impossible to recycle. So they pile up in vast heaps, taking hundreds of years to break down. A mountain of dead shoes, most of which could not be saved even if we wanted to. And by now, you know this pattern in your bones. The glued sole and the crumbling foam are the built-in failure. The design that cannot be resold is the wall against repair. And the endless new styles are the death clock, ticking away in your mind. Different product, worn on your very feet, but the same old game. Build it to fall apart. Build it so it cannot be fixed, and make it feel old, so that you buy again and again. Let's put some real numbers on this, because they completely flip the idea of what is expensive. Imagine two ways of buying shoes. In the first, you buy cheap, glued shoes. Say they cost a modest amount, but they fall apart in a year and cannot be fixed. So you buy a new pair every year. Over 20 years, that is 20 pairs, and all the money that goes with them. In the second, you buy one pair of good, stitched shoes. They cost a lot more, up front, enough to make you wince. But you resole them every few years, for a small price, and they last the whole 20 years and beyond. Add it all up, and the expensive shoes are very often the cheaper ones, by a wide margin. And at the end, you do not have a landfill's worth of dead shoes behind you. You have one beloved, broken in pair, molded perfectly to your feet, still going strong. The cheap shoe only looks cheap on the day you buy it. Over a life, it is the costly one. Now, there is a whole strange world built on top of throwaway shoes, and it is worth understanding. The world of hype. Companies have learned to release special shoes in small numbers, with big names attached, so that people rush to buy them before they sell out. These shoes are treated almost like treasure, bought and sold for wild prices. But here's the funny thing. Most of them are made the very same way as ordinary throwaway shoes. Glued soles. Foam that will crumble. They are not built to last any better. They are just built to be wanted, badly, for a moment. It is perceived obsolescence turned up to full blast. The shoe does not need to last. It just needs to be the thing everyone wants, this month, until the next special release makes it old news. And fast fashion has come for shoes, just as it came for clothes. Cheap, trendy shoes pour out in endless new styles, made to be worn a handful of times and tossed. Some are so flimsy they barely survive a few outings. They are not really made to be worn and loved for years. They are made to be photographed, worn once or twice, and then replaced by the next trend. Disposable, from the very first step. There is a real cost to your body hidden in all this, too. Cheap, poorly made shoes, with thin, crumbling soles and no real support, are not kind to your feet. They can leave you sore and lead to aches in your feet, your knees, and your back, especially when you walk a lot. A good, well-built shoe supports you properly and can be a genuine kindness to your body for years. When you buy the cheapest, shortest-lived option, you are sometimes paying for it twice. Once at the till, and once in your own 2 feet. And where do all these dead shoes go? This is one of the saddest parts. We throw away billions upon billions of shoes every single year. And a shoe is a nightmare to recycle. It is a tight little bundle of many different materials, foam, rubber, plastic, fabric, glue, and fake leather, all bonded together in a way that is almost impossible to pull apart. So almost none of them are recycled. They go, instead, into vast heaps and landfills, and get shipped off to poorer countries, piling up in great drifts, just like the discarded clothes. Mountains of shoes, most of them designed so that they could never have been saved anyway. And this is the quiet tragedy of the vanished cobbler. For hundreds of years, mending shoes was a proud and useful trade. Every town had someone who could give your favorite shoes new soles and new life for very little money. It kept good shoes on people's feet for decades. But you cannot resole a glued shoe. So, as the glued shoe took over, the cobbler slowly disappeared. A whole skill, and a whole way of keeping things alive, was quietly killed off, not because people stopped needing it, but because the shoes were changed so that the skill could no longer help. When you cannot fix a thing, the people who fix it for a living simply fade away. But here is a spark of hope. That old way of making shoes, stitched and resolable, has not vanished completely. There are still makers, in some corners of the world, who build shoes the proper way, to last a lifetime and be mended forever. And there is a growing band of people who seek these shoes out and swear by them, under that same simple banner we keep meeting. Buy it for life. They will tell you that one great pair of stitched boots, resoled over the years, has served them better and cost them far less than all the throwaway shoes they ever owned. And they are right. Picture the everyday version of the trap one more time. You find a pair of shoes you truly love. They fit perfectly. They feel like they were made for you. And then, one day, the sole starts to peel away. Hopeful, you carry them in to be fixed, ready to pay to keep a pair you adore. And you are told, gently, that there is nothing to be done. They were glued. They cannot be saved. And you feel that small, particular sadness of having to throw away a good thing you loved, not because it was truly finished, but because it was built, from the start, to be unfixable. That sadness is the whole trick, felt in a single moment. So the fading, and the falling apart, and the fact that no one can fix them, are not signs that shoes are just naturally flimsy things. They are the results of choices made in a boardroom, long before the shoes ever touched your feet. A stitch became a smear of glue. Good leather became cheap plastic. A lasting pair became a passing trend. Every one of those small choices added up to a shoe designed to have a short life and no second chance. And every one of them could just as easily be unchosen by a company that decided, for once, to build a thing that lasts. So how do you fight back? Happily, you have real power here. First, look for shoes that are stitched, not just glued, especially for shoes you want to keep for years. A good stitched shoe can be resoled again and again and can last for decades. They cost much more upfront, but spread that cost over 20 years of wear and many resoles, and they can be far cheaper, in the end, than a mountain of throwaway pairs. And they often look better and feel better the older they get. Second, choose real, good materials where you can. Real leather, properly cared for, lasts far longer than the fake, plastic-coated kind, and it can be cleaned and polished and brought back to life. Sturdy, simple, well-made shoes beat flimsy, fashionable ones for lasting. Third, learn to care for your shoes and use a cobbler when you have a good pair. A little polish, a little care, and a fresh sole when needed can keep good shoes going for a very long time. And if you are lucky enough to still have a cobbler nearby, treasure them and give them your business. You are keeping a wonderful old skill alive. Fourth, be wary of pure foam shoes for the long haul and of buying on trend alone. Understand that many foam trainers are, by their nature, short-lived and cannot be repaired. If you love them, that is fine, but know what you are buying. And try not to be swept along by every new style, chasing the next pair before the last has even worn out. And most of all, remember the trick. When your shoes fall apart, and you are told they cannot be resoled, you now know why. They were glued, on purpose, so that they could never be fixed. It was not bad luck. It was the design. So the next time a sole peels off, or a pair crumbles after barely any wear, do not just shrug and buy another throwaway pair. Stop and think about the shoes that last 50 years and get resoled 10 times, still going strong. That is what a shoe can be when it is built to last and built to be mended. And it is a quiet reminder that you do not have to keep buying into the throwaway parade. Your shoes were meant to carry you for years and to be renewed whenever they wore. Too many of them, instead, were built to fall apart and built so no one could ever save them. This is just one thing you wear every single day. On this channel, we keep pulling apart the everyday things you trust and showing you how they were built to fail. Because once you can see the trick, right there on your own 2 feet, you can start choosing the things that truly last. And a good pair of shoes, cared for and resoled, can walk with you for a lifetime instead of ending up in a heap after a single season. So stick around. There is a whole lot more to uncover.